Many consultants want to stop depending on referrals, and their first step is outbound, sending strangers LinkedIn DMs, cold emails, and even cold calling them. It's a good plan, but very often they make one crucial mistake, which leads them to failure and abandoning the plan. And that mistake is trying to scale and automate right from the start. In this video, we will be discussing the right order to do outbound in, from the least scalable and more work intensive to the least work intensive, the one where appointments just land in your calendar. And using this ascension model that I will teach you, you'll be able to learn very fast what is that offer, that unique combination of words that will allow you to book sales calls with strangers. And yes, I mean sales calls, I don't mean virtual coffees. And yes, you'll be able to do that already a week from now. Why should you listen to me? My name is Michael Bohannes. I'm the founder of the Alpha Lead Academy, and we help B2B consultants stop depending on referrals and build scalable client acquisition systems. We've worked with over 140 B2B consultants so far. Over 80% of them came from cold outbound, and every single person who has followed our playbook has had at least a 300% return on their investment with us within the first 6 months. And we've recently hit a couple of $50,000 months. So those are our credentials so far. So when consultants try to get past their dependency on their network and referrals, it's a very good idea to start with outbound, to send cold DMs and emails to strangers and make them an offer to become your clients. It's in line with one of our core tenets of client acquisition systems, which is sales before marketing. And I have a video on this in case you're interested. It's a very important concept. But a big mistake that people make in this context is that they are taken in by tools. They don't just approach people on LinkedIn. No, they use Linked Helper or WeConnect or DuckSoup. And they don't start just sending cold emails. No, they sign up for Instantly and create AI messages using Clay because that's what they heard and that's what they bought a course on for $99. Now, all of those tools are really good and they're useful, but you will not learn a real skill if you're focused on a tool. Elon Musk has recently summarized this extremely well when he explained the key problem with our school system. Our school system is very tool-centric, very often at least, meaning it shows you a screwdriver and explains to you how to tighten screws with it. And what is much better and what leads to much more retention of what you learn is to start with a useful, valuable skill, for example, understanding, taking apart and reassembling a car engine. And in the process of that, you might need an actual screwdriver. And here's how to use that screwdriver, right? That's much better to use the tool in the pursuit of a worthy goal rather than being tool-centric. And it's the same with online tools. If you want to start prospecting on LinkedIn and you sign up for Linked Helper, you're acting tool-centric. You're not taking apart the car engine of client acquisition and thoroughly understand how it works. You were just sold a fancy screwdriver. And that's what leads to B2B consultants telling me on discovery calls over and over that they did a cold email campaign or LinkedIn automation campaign and they messaged 2,000 people and they didn't book a single call from that. That happens a lot. And it turns out that learning a new skill, outbound, follows the same principles as any other skill. Let's use another analogy, learning to ride a bike. Depending on how old you are, you either learn to ride the bike with training wheels or you use the training bike without pedals. And then once you're confident doing that, the next stage is to remove the training wheels or to add the pedals in, and you learn to ride on quiet side streets or a small field road, right? And only then, once you're confident with that, you can start daring venturing into the streets of London or you hit the mountain trails. It's the same with outbound. If you haven't done outbound before and you go straight for the automation tools, that's like when a cycling rookie takes on Trafalgar Square at rush hour. So what's the training wheels equivalent for outbound? It's conversational prospecting on LinkedIn, having an actual genuine conversation with your target clients. And in it, finding the perfect balance between being jovial and friendly on the one hand, but also being agenda-driven. You don't want to just have an idle chit-chat with a stranger who will never buy from you, but you also don't want to just pitch slap them. You want to find a good middle ground. So here's a good example of that. This is a conversation that my setter recently did with a prospect who later became a client. And that is, Michael Setter says, James, I see you very active on LinkedIn. You managed to build a nice personal brand. As a result of this, are you getting approached on here by potential clients? And because the setter was working through my wife Anna's account, James responds, Hi, Anna, thanks for your messages. How are you? The reality is that LinkedIn has been a mixed bag. Many people have been reaching out, but not actual clients, really. Michael Setter, that's interesting. Wasn't expecting that. How do they, actual clients, find out about your services? Is it just word of mouth? James, most of my clients so far have been through word of mouth, network, and personal relationships, partnerships I've made with other companies. Michael Setter, that's great. People referring you is a clear sign that you're offering high quality services. By the way, always a good rule for conversational prospecting: acknowledge what they said and say something nice about it. Have you tried implementing some outbound client acquisition systems to help streamline your revenue or even scale? James, no, I haven't tried any outbound systems yet. Michael Setter, outbound systems is one of our specialties at the Alpha Lead Academy. If you're looking to expand, book more appointments, and get new clients, could I share with you a little bit more about how we might be able to help? James, that would be useful to know. So please feel free to share how you'd be able to help, and if you also have any examples. Michael Setter then says, sure. So to give you a short summary of what we do, and I'm not going to bore you with all of that. And then James says, hi, Anna, thanks for providing this info. Could we have a call to elaborate a little more on the process, maybe talk about some use cases? This Friday afternoon seems open on my diary. Let me know your thoughts, okay? So this is how you get to a point where a stranger will take a call with you. And that is what I call conversational prospecting, okay? We start with a friendly question, a little bit of chit chat, and then you get to brass tacks. And the reason why this type of prospecting works so well is because you're getting qualitative feedback that allows you to tailor your pitch. The person is telling you in a conversational mode what their biggest challenges are, and if you're reasonably empathetic, you can also react to them and dig deeper in just that area where they face their biggest challenges. Notice how in the conversation I just showed you, my setter is asking questions about James's client acquisition and is able to react appropriately. He asks about his outbound systems. James says he hasn't tried any yet. And so my setter is able to lead with the fact that outbound is our specialty at the Alpha Lead Academy. If the conversation had veered towards content, my setter would have started talking about our content formula and pitched James on that. Also, what you learn in these conversations are nuances of what people struggle with and what they want. For example, in our conversations, I have learned, when I was still conducting them myself, I have learned that one of the biggest pain points is that my ideal target clients experience. And so we used that pain point and built a whole campaign around that, which has been running for now over 2 years and so far delivered us over $500,000 in revenue, using all forms of outbound, even the more scalable methods, those where I don't have to do anything and sales calls just land in my calendar. So you just have to find one angle that works, one kind of messaging, and then just scale it. But I wouldn't have been able to find that angle and just started some LinkedIn automation back in 22 when I started to get serious about outbound. I was only able to find that through iterative conversational prospecting and paying close attention on sales calls. And this is also what our client Tony did to get his first stranger as a client. He started a lot of friendly conversations, got his first non-referral, non-network client that way, got a few more, and then he started a podcast, and now he interviews his ideal avatars, some of whom then become clients. He followed our sales before marketing mantra to the T, and becoming a good salesman for his services made him also a better marketer. That's so key, right? I talk about that in the video Sales Before Marketing. You will become a better marketer because you know what triggers people to buy from you, so you know what really matters to them. And that's going to improve your content. Now, you can also watch my client testimony with Tony if you want to know more how he got his first stranger as a client. We did that relatively soon after that. So the very first step to take if you want to win clients proactively is through conversational prospecting on LinkedIn. Don't go for cold email just yet. The big downside of cold email is lack of context. On LinkedIn, people can get easily an idea for who you are and how legit you are, but you cannot leverage that well with cold email. So start with LinkedIn and start chatting with people. And remember, Goldilocks zone between salesiness and idle chit chat. You don't want to land virtual coffees with randos, and you also don't want to repel people too much by pitching to them without knowing anything. Then you might as well just do automation. Okay, and if you do conversational prospecting well, then you'll be able to book anywhere from 5 to 15% of people on sales calls. My personal best is 10%. One of our clients managed to do 14%, and some people even boast with numbers as high as 30%, but you always have to take it with a grain of salt because many of them frame the calls to the prospect as virtual coffees and getting to know each other calls, right? And of course, you will book more in that case. The way we teach our conversation prospecting is that all sales calls have an agenda, meaning that we tell the prospect that on the call, we will show them our stuff and ask them questions. And if there's a fit, we might make them an offer. And that, of course, is going to give you lower call booking rates. But whether you do 5 or 15%, those numbers are staggering for anyone proficient in cold emails, where getting 1 to 2% appointment booking rates is considered outstanding. Okay, once we have passed that test and we've booked a few clients through conversational prospecting, what is the next level in outbound? Because we do want to climb to the next level Because with conversational prospecting, there's a big fat elephant in the room. And that is, who has time for all of this, right? Sure, I showed you a successful example, but remember, we have a 10% call booking rate at best. And that means that 90+% of cases won't go anywhere. And this stuff doesn't only take time, but also a lot of cognitive energy. It's not like you can switch off your brain and just execute. You do have to think. You have to, this person said this, what do I say here? And so on. And not least, this is also why it's a little bit difficult to outsource conversational prospecting to other people. Now, we do have a setter who we trained on this, but we've had a huge amount of data for him to work with and analyze what works. Also, my setter's call booking rate is well below mine, which is normal because he doesn't know my avatar as well as I know it. So it's a bit hard to outsource. And so when you've won a few clients through conversational prospecting, your best next step is the next tier of outbound, which is video-based. Okay, I'm sure you've received a cold email with a Loom video in it. And if the video is personalized and done well, we are able to achieve call booking rates that are far beyond normal cold email call booking rates. And that's about 5 to 6% with personalized Looms. And this second tier has 3 huge benefits. Number 1, compared to conversational prospecting, you can reach people with much less cognitive effort. Recording personalized videos with roughly the same script is far less time consuming and far easier than having to react to curveballs that a conversational prospecting target throws your way. And unlike with more mass-produced cold email, you get a lot of goodwill from prospects. I never got an unfriendly response to one of my personalized Looms. In fact, we frequently get compliments from people who also politely decline because they don't need our services. And this friendliness also means that we get the occasional piece of qualitative feedback, which we can use for content and for refining our offer. And not least, we already got one person who says, great approach. It's not for me, but I'm going to refer you to somebody else. And that person then became a client. Okay. So it's a very good method if your total addressable market is a little bit on the smaller side, let's say less than 10,000 decision makers in the world or less. And a TAM of that size would mean that mass cold emails would exhaust your market too quickly. And you want to have at least 6 months between your first message to someone and your second message, meaning they will completely have forgotten about you and you can pitch them again 6 months later. And they're also much more likely to then need you than if they didn't need you at the first time. So because this method has a far higher call booking rate, you will not be racing through your list as quickly as you would with automated email. So if it's a small market, as in not a huge amount of decision makers in the world, use this video-based method. And now, given that there's benefit 1, because it's so much easier and less time consuming, you may ask, why not start with personalized Looms right away? Like, why take the detour via conversational prospecting? And there's 2 reasons. First of all, setting up a good cold emailing infrastructure that will land you in the inbox and not in spam, and that isn't beholden to a specific tool like Instantly. Instantly can set up cold email addresses for you, but you have to use them inside Instantly. And very often these digital tools are giving off a certain digital smell that the bots then can sense, and they actually put you in the spam folder. And I've seen, I'm not going to say which tool it was, but I have seen that a tool reported to me that an email was being opened and clicked on, and that person then told me that my emails had been landing in his spam folder. Okay, so very often these tools, I'm not going to share which tool it is, but these tools have a strong incentive to be, falsifying the truth sometimes. And so setting up that kind of cold email infrastructure, that can take some time. This can easily be 10 to 12 hours. And that is if you know what you're doing. If you're experimenting and figuring things out as you go, make that at least 30 hours of trial and error and tearing your hair out in the process. I would know. And number 2, why you may want to not start with personalized Looms right away is you don't get as good qualitative feedback via personalized Looms as you would get with conversational prospecting. It's still rare. In convo prospecting, you get feedback all the time. People tell you what they struggle with and why your offer doesn't resonate if it doesn't. So that was level 2, personalized Loom videos. These still take some time because they need to be sent manually. But the great thing is that you can have a team of virtual assistants doing all the content management and sending for you. Our numbers in this context are, we have a 5% call booking rate and a 30% call conversion rate. And it maybe takes 2 minutes on average to create one personalized Loom video for me. So that's a no-brainer, right? Once you've scaled so high that even spending 2 minutes on a personalized video isn't worth your time, then you can move to the final level of outreach and use AI and automation. For example, the Instantly and Clay combination to personalize cold emails. And once that system is set up, you truly don't have to do anything anymore. You just need an assistant who manages your leads and has a virtual assistant sense check the personalizations, remove a few rare and unsuitable cases, and that's it. Maybe 1, maybe 2 hours a week for you. And this, then finally, this is the equivalent of mountain biking on a hardcore alpine trail. You can only reach this level if you've paid your dues and you've cycled with the training wheels and ridden the easy village backstreets. But there's a non-trivial chance that if you're sending a lot of DMs and cold emails and not enough people are booking sales call with you, it could be that your offer is not the right fit. So watch this video next where I break down exactly what needs to be in a good B2B offer so that strangers will want to have sales calls with you.